Right, we move on to the next article then. Here we
I know
go.
that guy.
So it's Andy Ritchie, the Morton Maestro. And tell me, Andy, in that photograph, are you wearing Adidas Samba there?
That's it. That's where it reminded me this morning when I seen it. I've got the gutties on. That would be one of the games that, you know, we would get a game on down at Capello when nobody else in the whole of the country would get a game on. Because Hal could sell it to STV and BBC and get the cameras done quick for Glasgow. And he did that a few times.
Yeah.
We played Partick Thistle when it was the only game in Scotland. In fact, there was very few games in the whole of the country. And we had got the Adidas Samba. And we all had them, and Partick Thistle had just their boots. They didn't think the game would be on. So that was a body blow to them. But they were the big thing. You know, if you owned a pair of Adidas Samba, you were king of the hill.
You know, I think it's the same when we play in snow and things like that, and games like that don't go ahead nowadays. And when you look back at the old highlights and stuff of those games, I think we're missing. And I get that it can be dangerous travelling to the ground, it can be dangerous playing on that, but I think we miss out on so much with that. You know, it's like seeing just players sort of, you know, they shorten their strides because, you know, they don't want to slip and all that sort of stuff. I just think we miss out on, whether it's absolutely soaking and you kick the ball and it goes about half a metre and then it goes 10 centimetres. You know, I just think we're missing a lot out by not playing games in less than perfect, circumstances.
No, I think that's got a lot to the modern day pitches. Oh, they're like bowling greens, Andy. Absolutely fantastic. I never miss an opportunity to go out when I'm at football games if I'm lucky enough to be able to walk across the park. You know, it's manicured to perfection now. Even I thought you were just being nice and not mentioning the fact that Capello, when I played down there, was a bit of a shithole as well because of that. We had 6 inches of muck all over the park at times, and when the Clyde would raise its water level at the side, it would all pour in through into Capello, and we'd have massive, big, muddy patches with no grass at all on the park, and you just had to go on with it. Players were adaptable then, you know. Yeah. They just made the best of what situations there. If you've been watching the big match revisited, you know, my granddaughter's got me onto that, Kira, now watching the big match. Some of the parks, you know, if it was about half a dozen blades of grass on them, but some of the players you've seen on it, you know, you talk about Rodney Marsh and Tony Curry and even Butch Wilkins there earlier on. They all guys come through all that. No grass on the park, muck up to your ankles. And Capello was like that.
Yeah.
But then for about 2 months of the season, you'd get the really cold weather, and then the sambas would come out, and at least you would get the ball would bounce a wee bit rather than stick in the muck. But as I said, players were adaptable. It was like nowadays, they talk about the fitness of players now, guys. You know, the modern day player is, without a shadow of a doubt, and has been for a while now, fitter than the players for my era beyond. But we were fit for purpose. We were fit to play on parts like that, situations like that. You know, we weren't registered physiotherapists. Every modern day football player can tell you every injury he's had in his whole life, metatarsals and something else and something else. You know, we had a sore leg or a sore ankle or a sore knee. That was it in a nutshell. Nobody told you any different. And you had to manage them. But we were fit for purpose to play on surfaces like that, like Capello. And, you know, even if you look through some of the old bits of footage that they got up for Ibrox and Celtic Park for the days, they had very little grass on their park as well. That was just the way it was, and you had to go on with it. But hey, with some smashing players then, you know, with players who could control the ball in 6 inches of mud. That takes a bit of doing.
So that wee article there is basically saying that Morton were doing well, and then they've had a dip in fortune. Things went wrong, you're saying here, Andy, and it was difficult to pick up the thread. Oh no, so it says right back Davy Hayes. We lost a couple of games where things went against us, and it seems to get to us. For instance, we had an awful lot of play against Aberdeen in the League Cup semi-final, but at the end of the day, we were out of the tournament by the odd goal in 3.
Yeah, they were exciting times. I remember the couple of seasons like that, you know. And what nobody can understand now, and I say it often, and people probably get fed up listening to it, we were part-time. We were training on a Thursday night and a Tuesday night. You know, I was working in the meat market, carrying sides of beef round about and delivering them all to butcher shops over Scotland at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then down for training at night time on a Tuesday and a Thursday night at Capello. There was no preparation time for anything, you know. All the time I spent at Capello, I spent as a part-time player. I was never full-time. I never went back full-time again until I went to Motherwell. And what a difference that would have made to that squad of players that we had at Capello at that time. We had some fantastic players down there. Players who went on to have big careers down south from Morton. You know, we sold nearly all to West Ham and Joe McLaughlin to Chelsea and Jimmy Tolmie to Lochern in Belgium. We sold Mark McGee to Newcastle United. Massive, massive clubs. You know, if these boys had, and, you know, they were guys that were out working. You know, they went straight from their work to Capello. No time, you know, run round the track. There were no training facilities. You know, and you couldn't go in the park in case you wasted it. Not that you could have wasted it anyway, it was that bad. But that was your training schedule during the winter, was running around the track for an hour and a half and maybe a wee five-a-side game at the end for 5 minutes. I know the rest of the clubs in the Premier League were off all time. You know, I had to ask for 2 days off my work. Hannibal's talking about the Cup semi-final. I had to get into the meat market and ask for a couple of days. We were going to Largs, big time, you know, to prepare for the Cup semi-final. And my guys in the meat market couldn't have cared less about Morton or what was going on. They just wanted people in there to do their shift. And, you know, go on with it. Can I get a couple of days off? No, if you take a couple of days off, you need to find another job, you know. That was the way it worked in. There were plenty of people looking for work at that time. Yeah. But if we did get full-time football for a couple of seasons, we would have won something. We went out in that part that day and froze in that League Cup semi-final. Hannibal's been kind to us when he said that. We had never been there before. The preparation was less than good, and we froze on the day. And Aberdeen beat us 2-1, and we really should have drew the game. And if we'd probably drawn the game, I think we would have won the replay. But these guys were all having to do that under the disadvantage of being a part-time club. Hannibal says I read that there, a couple of results went wrong for us. We went to Celtic Park leading the league around about November, December time, and we scored. And then Celtic had a couple of disputed goals. Well, they said they were disputed. Johnny Doyle, God rest him, had ran off the park with the ball, and we all stopped for the goal kick and ran back on the park again with the ball crossed it. And I think Tom Sullivan or somebody put it in the net. Celtic equalised. And he was 2 yards off the park, and the linesman hadn't seen it. And there was a big rammy about it, and we were all complaining about it. Celtic supporters were booing us for doing that. And I think we lost the place a wee bit and had a couple of players sent off. But for that time, we felt hard done by. And then we lost another couple of games after that. And I think we missed out in Europe by about 3 or 4 points or something like that, if my memory serves me correct. But we just weren't able to get out of that. You know, and the wee things that would crop up for any normal team would be able to get in the next morning, sort it out, and have time to do all that. We didn't. We just moved on to the next game and the next game. That's all that mattered. But again, as I say, if we did full-time football in there, I'm pretty damn positive we'd have won something. Might not have been the league, but I'm certain we would have won something.
So I've got a wee question about Davy Hayes, actually, because he became a wee bit of a darling of the Shoot magazine, appearing in it quite a bit, more than probably a lot of people. We used to cut out the bits and put it up on the notice board at Capello. So why Davy Hayes? I think he used to go bevying with one of the reporters. He used to meet in the tin and have a right good swallow with one of the reporters, and Hannibal would tell him all the secrets about Capello and about all the players that he knew. Yeah. I honestly can't remember the reporter's name, or I would have called him out on it. I really can't, but it was one of the younger ones at that time. Right. And that's what they used to do. They used to go and have a wee drink during the night or something like that. Nights they would meet in town, and this is why Morton used to get a lot of publicity out of it. Yeah.
They did, and it was, a lot of that was down to Davy. Davy and his relationship, you know.
I was always curious about that because it did seem to get a lot more than your average person, and there we go. Thank you for that.